Hello. Today we're going to take a trip through Tak Rethan Abyss at tier 11. It's probably one of my least favorite delves. I think the underwater ones just are a little more awkward to get through than the other ones. However, there are some tricks you can use to make it easier in here. One is definitely that I equip the... let's see here. I've equipped my Mastercraft fishing pole from many expansions ago back in Northrend, but it allows underwater breathing. If you don't have one of those, you can bring along underwater breathing potions, which I don't think I carry any here on the Mage, since I have the fishing pole. But that would be something else to think of. It's trying to kill mobs, especially at a higher tier level, and then worrying about running out of breath is pretty awkward to do. So having some way to maneuver better down there will help you out a lot. Bran is set up as a healer, and we're using the Porcelain Idol and Amorphous Relic. My build is just the standard Mythic Plus build for Frostfire. I did recently do a video, and I took my other mage through a tier 11 as Arcane. And I will say, I've been playing mostly Frost on both mages and Frostfire specifically, because it just plays much smoother and seems to have a much more even damage profile. So of course Arcane can burst a lot harder, but between cooldowns it feels pretty underwhelming, right? And then of course if you're doing things like delves or solo content, Frost has always had a lot of slows and ways to control mobs better than Arcane does, I think. That said, I play Frost a little bit better than I play Arcane, so be my own perceptions talking there. I will post a link to the build I'm using, as well as the add-ons or the weak auras that I use to help manage or monitor my different procs and abilities coming off a cooldown. Alright, let's get it started. I think, so in here in particular, the tricksters are pretty annoying, because they generate copies of themselves, and you waste a lot of time nuking down all the copies. Something to be aware of. That Spearfisher has an attack where he throws a spear and it pulls you in. Just kind of watch where he goes, and then near the end of his cast, move to the left or right. You can dodge his spear. It pretty much negates his attack. Oh, so we do have a little bit of fun right up the front here. We have Tela and Velo, which seem to be sitting right in the path. We're going to need to deal with them. They are not too bad if you can pull them separately. If you have to pull them together, it might be a little tricky. Let's see. Uh-oh. Hey, well that's pretty good. Looks like Bran actually grabbed some aggro there. managed to keep both of them from nailing me, so not bad. Thing I noticed, which I don't think you could do before, is I was able to interrupt Telo casting something with actually Supernova, which I don't think you could do before.
Here's your take of the spoils.
Well, that was actually good to pull, as of course, they done a lot of tuning on the delves and the different mobs in here over time. Oh, as soon as you break those, move away, and this particular Pheromone Crates destroyed, because sharks come in, you don't really want to have to deal with those. But as for the mini bosses, that's much easier than they used to be. They used to be horrible, so I still try to skip those when I can, but it does look like if you need to pull them, just be careful what you're doing and have cooldowns up, and you should have a good chance of getting them down. This pack may be a little tricky, so once they hit 30% health, they'll heal themselves. Of course, we don't want that, because it heals them almost to full. Not a big deal on the smaller health mobs, but the Witherers are going to be something we want to watch for. Well, we do have cooldowns up, so let's work on it. That ascension can be stopped with stuns, so something to be aware of.
Nice fight!
Not sure where he came from, but that's alright. Yeah, like I mentioned, the sharks you try to avoid if you can, because they have a fair amount of health. Alright, let's see if we can take down these guys. So with the tricksters, if you got him targeted but he didn't have a nameplate, that's the actual trickster. I find those just really annoying. Probably some of the worst mobs in here. These necromancers are probably one of the hardest hitting mobs in here with their casts. And you really don't want to be in that necrotic end. That can be interrupted as well with stuns if you need to.
They'll never use it that. Let's get that nasty on. Oh, the ground's got your back.
Vicious spiderlings are something to be watching for. When they hit you, they apply a poison debuff, which is fine, and maybe if it's one spider, but when it's multiple spiders, it's pretty tough. Bran as a healer will cleanse some of that off of you, but there is a cooldown on how fast he can dispel that off. The Abyssal Surge from the Witherers hits pretty hard as well, so it's always worth interrupting. Something hit me pretty hard just now. I'm going to take a look real quick to show you what it was. Looks like just a bunch of melee from the different mobs, so that's all something to be careful on. Definitely, one thing I can say about Frost is don't be afraid to use your cooldowns because they come back up pretty quick with us using shifting power all the time. If you don't know, the trick to this puzzle is you go from top to bottom, and then, for instance, we've got a dark one right here. You just want to click the orb below it. So then the next row down, this is the one on the top. Click below that, and puzzle solved. So you always want to pick from left to right, top to bottom, and then just go to the dark orb and clear the one below it. And if you just follow that pattern, it'll clear that puzzle no matter how it's configured.
Nice fight!
Something that does seem to be a little standard as I've been revisiting Tier 11 delves at the end here, Season 1, is that some of the mob attacks out there have been tuned down, so they're not quite so egregious. All of them, however, do tend to melee around the 1 million range, so if you've got a lot of mobs, you do want to keep your distance or be ready with cooldowns. Wow, that's a pretty crazy looking group of mobs here. I think well, normally I would say we avoid that, but I think that's fun, so let's give that a try. That's interesting. I had meant to pull the entire group, but it looks like I missed some, which is good because I could use a health potion there. That's alright, that's what those are for. It's kind of strange that they grouped so many mobs in one area. But it's also it's interesting because I was on my DK and I was death gripping like out of packs where they're pretty close to each other, and I wasn't pulling the other mobs, so I wonder if even though it doesn't look like it would be, like if you were in a dungeon, you wouldn't want to try pulling just one of these mobs. You know you're going to get the whole pack. But here, does not seem to be the case all the time. It's a little inconsistent, but I was able to split quite a few pulls on the DK using Death Grip that shouldn't have been splittable. You had mobs sitting right next to each other, so. As far as solo mage content, one change I do in my spec is I will take diverted energy for the barrier heal, and then energized barriers helps remove snares, right? But you actually can get an awful lot of healing from those barriers, so you're doing solo content. I even use that in Mythic Plus too. It's worth taking. Alright, I am thinking that we probably just need these couple of crates. Yeah, alright. Does look like we picked up the bone chewer, so we'll get in first. This boss is pretty easy peasy. Just stay out of his mushrooms and don't stand in his AoE he does right around himself. Or his frontal cone. This guy has a pretty predictable set of abilities that I don't see much variation in. As long as you're aware of that, it is really a pretty easy boss. Though it is a pretty annoying boss because you got to move out of those mushrooms a pretty good percentage of that time. So that's okay. As you saw, those mechanics are not hard at all. Just takes a little time.
Just the thing to blast through this.
But if you don't get out of that cone attack, or you let a mushroom hit you, or you stand in his AoE, those are all probably going to be one-shots or close to. And I think it's probably pretty clear, if you've done this delve before, how much easier it is if you have some way to handle breathing underwater, whether it's potions or if you got the fishing pole. And I think there are other things out there, or classes that can breathe underwater. It makes it so much easier in this particular delve. So that's something you want to bring along. All right. Well, thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys on the next one.